Good morning, everyone, or the few of us who are here together. Welcome to the people who are here for the first time, and welcome back to those of you who are joining me again. We will start at 9:15, it's now 9:12. So as I said before, if you are viewing, so while we're waiting, since it's a beautiful sunny day, I'll give you again, those of you who are missing you here, just be looking at that for a little bit. Hope I've got it in the camera. So it is a beautiful day in the out of doors. I know many of us are stuck in the in of doors. Hope you're able to get outside, staying 6 feet away from other people. While we're inside together though, again, if you have a mat or something that you can be on that's not going to have your feet slipping too much, if you are going to need anything to keep your hands up a little higher off the floor and you have yoga blocks, you can use them. Otherwise, cans of soup or boxes or big tall books can be useful. I think we are actually going to use a strap today. So if you have something like a strap or a long towel or something. And for me, most important is as relaxation at the end, have something to cover your eyes and to cover your body. So you can gather those things. Today, I am going to go back to playing no music, so you can choose the music that fits your mood in your space with your people. And someone made the suggestion yesterday, and I'm going to mention this again after 9:15, that she would feel like there was more of a sense of community if people signed in when they started watching. So I guess you would just go to the comments and say, you know, I'm here, or maybe more useful to me would be, I'm here with my, 8th grader and my 10th grader, or my 1st grader and my 3rd grader, or I'm just here myself, or whatever. And if you have any requests this morning, that can also be put into the comment section. And in order to make this more perfect for each of you out there, I would love to have any feedback at the end of this session. I'll leave the live stream open again for a little bit. And I'm not, first of all, it's lovely to hear the thank yous and so forth, but if you can tell me specifically the things that were meaningful to you. For example, one woman wrote the other day that her kids really appreciated hearing the day of the week, that, you know, today is Wednesday, that made it kind of cool as opposed to just a recorded version of something. And, if you gave me your kid's name, if you didn't feel uncomfortable with that, I could maybe say hello to them or something like that. So I want to make it as personal for you as I can, since my yoga studio is personal day yoga. So it is 9:15 now. So I'm going to meander back over to my spot where I'm going to be practicing today. So here's my studio. And here's one corner of it where I'll be doing my thing. And hopefully you'll be joining. Okay, so a couple people have commented. So welcome. I'm going along with a suggestion made by someone that perhaps when people join us, that they might just comment in the comment section that they're here, and that person felt that the sense of community might be a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more real. So if you want to just jump on and comment that you're here, that would be great. So with a 5th grader and a 1st grader, that's great to know. All right, so let's begin. You can put on some music that you like. So today is Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. And I thought today we might work with the idea of balancing. So balancing, literally standing on your feet, balancing effort and surrender, even balancing our breath. So one thing we can start with is you can just get some comfortable way to sit. And there's a thing called alternate nostril breathing. I'm actually going to come a little bit closer for this because I won't be standing up so you can see what I'm doing. So alternate nostril breathing, the idea is that you balance out your system from feeling kind of overwhelmed and feeling sort of slow and sluggish. So what you do is you breathe in through one nostril and out the other, and then in the other and out that side. It feels kind of weird. It seems a little strange, but the effects of it are quite wonderful. And if you just bear with me, especially the young people, I think you'll find that it can be a great tool in these times of feeling either kind of crazy or maybe a little sluggish. So what you're going to do, and you can keep your eyes open for now and watch what I'm doing, but otherwise, whenever you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close. So I am going to try mirroring you, and but if I screw up the left and right, I apologize, and we'll try to fix it. So you're going to put your left hand down on your lap, and you can either just have it comfortable sitting there, or you can take a circle between your finger and your thumb and make that little circle. It's called a mudra. And then with the other hand, your right hand, you're going to put the first two fingers down. And so you've got your thumb and your ring finger left over to work with your closing off your nose. So first you're going to close off the right side and breathe in through the left nostril. And when your lungs are full of air, you switch and close off the other side, breathe out through the right. You keep your hands the way they are, and then you breathe in through the right. When your lungs are full again, you switch and exhale through the left. So we'll do this a couple more times, and you're just going to go at your breath pace. So all you do is you breathe in, and when your lungs are full, you switch and breathe out the other side. Keep it the same. Breathe in. When your lungs are full, you switch. Breathe out. Again, breathing in on one side. When your lungs are full, you switch. If you want to be going faster or slower, you can do that. And then you breathe in. And then one of the times when you're breathing out through your left nostril, that will be your final one with this crazy nose thing. And you just put both hands down and just take a few breaths in like that. So the people who are very young and they're still working with left and right might find that a little more challenging. But even just putting both hands down on your lap and just consciously taking a few breaths is going to make you feel a little bit better. So that's called alternate nostril breathing, also known as Nadi Shodhana in Sanskrit. So if you ever come across a video of that or something that you can find and follow along with, those are the words that you'd be looking for. So that's just one little tool. I spoke about the toolkit a little earlier. That's one tool that you can be using. I'm just going to check the comments one more time before we start with the other thing. Wellesley student here. I assume Wellesley student means Wellesley College student. Welcome. Okay. So let's just start right in with a balance pose. So we did tree the other day. Let's try it again. It's the most basic. So you're going to come off the mat if your mat is especially squishy, and then shift your weight to, let's say, your right foot, and then place your left foot somewhere along your leg. It can be low down on your calf or above your knee. So you can be here or working here. So you can really use your imagination a lot and pretend that you have roots down below your feet that are gripping under the ground, holding you steady, even if you start to wobble a little bit. And if you wobble and you fall over, totally fine. Maybe have a good laugh out of it. If you want to use your imagination more, you can have your arms out like a tree. Feel your fingers turning into leaves. And you can even pretend that the ends of your fingers are breathing in the CO2 and exuding oxygen like a real tree does. At some point, if you want to try closing your eyes, you can play with that. Most of the time, that will make people come out of the pose. And then you can let your arms come down. So let's try it now on the left foot. So switching to your left foot, putting your right foot somewhere along your leg, low down or high up. Again, anchoring through the foot so that your waving around can be stabilized, pressing down into your standing foot, staying here or growing your branches, breathing in and out. You can wiggle your hands and your leaves blowing in the wind a little bit. And then again, you can try letting your eyelids just drop down and see how long you can stay there. And then coming out. Great. So coming back onto your mat, On this beautiful sunny morning, let's try a few sun salutations. So people who are familiar with yoga and you have your own way of doing sun salutations, you can just go and do your own version. If you're not sure or you just want to follow on with me anyway, then feel free to do that. So let's, when you're needing to breathe in, let your hands drop down and lift up, filling up the space you're creating in your chest with a nice breath of air. And then exhale, hands to the floor. Take the right foot back, sink into your hips. You can lift your chest and head, opening up, lifting your back leg. And then on an exhale, bring your leg to the back and doing a downward dog. Yesterday, we played around a little bit with making the animal sound. So if you want to be barking like a dog now, you can do that. And then come forward in a high push-up. Fill up with air here. You're either on your toes or on your knees. And then as you exhale, lowering to the floor. Or to the low push-up, and then to chaturanga. Chaturanga and then upward dog. Cobra if you like. Or staying low in your cobra. And then you move back to downward dog and empty your breath. So we started with the right foot going back, so now we'll bring the right foot to the front. You can bring it up directly or put your left knee down, bring your foot around, and now you're in the lunge with the right leg in front. Lifting your back knee again, opening your front, breathing, and then coming up to the front of your mat. Every time I come up to the front of the mat, I lift up my toes and spread them out. It just exercises the feet and prepares them for standing balance poses. So then you can spread your toes out, drop down into whatever version of forward fold works for you. And then when you're breathing in, stand up again. On your exhale, bring your hands down the middle. So we're centering ourselves, balancing. And now to balance ourselves out, we'll do the same thing, starting with the left foot going back. So exhale to reach down, left foot reaching back. Do a little bit more of a flow this time, so just moving back to downward dog. Next time you're breathing in, coming forward to high plank. When that breath needs to go out, you'll coordinate your descent to the floor or to the low push-up with that. Opening up, breathing in, and then moving back to downward dog. Exhaling. Then the left foot went back, so now it's going to come up to the front. Sinking in, right foot to the front, and lift up your toes, spread them out if you can. Exhale, fold forward. Awesome. Again, breathing in. And pull something down your center. Feel the balance on both sides now that we've done each side. And coming up. So we'll do that again, one on each side, but adding a little bit of something. So starting with the right foot going back. Keep your right hand on the floor, or if you have blocks or something like them, this is a nice time to use a block. Maybe you put your hand on the block, maybe you're up here. So wherever you are, take your fingers, the left fingers to the front, and then twist toward your bent knee. You can be thinking about lifting the back knee high or keeping it relaxed, whatever feels good for you. Twisting, looking up maybe. Feel your chest opening. Feel the ability to breathe into different places than the breath normally goes. And then bring your hand back to the floor, and we'll slide back to downward dog. Do you have a dog in your space right now? A lot of yoga videos have that. My dogs are a little crazy, so I can't have them in the room with me. All right, coming forward to plank again, lowering down. So this is what the low push-up looks like. Your elbows are hugging in, and then you let your feet go flat in the back, coming to upward dog if you're ready for that, and then back to downward dog. Empty out. Right foot coming forward. Remembering you can always just let your left knee come down, right foot coming around. So now we'll do the twist on the other side. So grab your block under your left hand if you're using the block, or not. And reach your heel back and your fingers forward, and then twist. Looking up if that feels good on your neck. Breathing. Again, noticing where the breath goes. Evening yourself out. We stretch the left rib cage on the other side. Now we're doing your right rib cage. And swing your hand to the floor again and back up to the front. Lift up your toes. Spread them out. Sinking down. And rising up as you breathe in. Hands down your center when you exhale. And then filling up. Let's fold to the floor again. One last sun salutation, starting with the left foot going back. This time we'll do a little bit of a back bend. So just let your knee come to the floor. We'll only be here for a second. So if your knee is a little uncomfortable, that's okay. If it's really uncomfortable, you'll pull in a little bit of cushioning from your side mat. But we're just gonna lift up. Circle around, open your chest, pull your elbows back. Get a nice broad opening and fill that up with air. And then put your hands to the floor, moving any padding you've done there. Back to downward dog. And coming forward again, high push-up. So this time we're gonna hold the plank or do actual push-ups. So you either stay here, knees on the floor, on your forearms if you wanna hold the plank, or push-ups. Lowering, rising, all the way, or just micro bends, working on the strength. And then at some point on an exhale, lowering to the floor. Or to the low push-up. And again, opening your front, cobra, upward dog, sphinx, whatever feels good. And back, downward dog. Left foot coming up to the front this time. So again, we're just balancing ourselves out. You might drop your right knee, bring your left foot around, lifting. Actually, let's just keep the back knee down if you did that. And drop it down if you just bring your foot forward. So sinking your hips low, pulling up. After the push-ups, this will feel good if you did them. Opening, broadening the chest, breathing in. Great. And then let your hands come to the floor again. I'm gonna fix my mat before I stand up. And push off, coming up to the front. So I don't know if this is a better view. I just wanted to show you what I mean by lifting up my toes and spreading them out. So I come up to the front of the mat and I just bring my toes up off the floor and try to make them as far apart from each other as I can. And then while they're far apart, pressing them back down again. And the reason I'm showing that is that's what I like to do before I do balance poses. People who come to my classes a lot have heard me say this many times, that when people try to balance on one foot, let me see if I can get a better angle on this. When people try to balance on one foot, for some reason the instinct seems to be to clench your toes together like that. And that actually makes your job a lot harder because then you're just working with a straight line. If you can lift up your toes and spread them out, either just like that, which again, I've been able to do because every time I do that, when I'm coming up to the mat, I'm just exercising that the same as I'm exercising my core or my arms or anything else. The other way you can do it is press your big toe into the floor and hold it there, either just by pressing or with your finger, and then pull the rest of your foot away. And that makes your foot more like a triangle. So the more your foot is like a triangle, then when you tip side to side, you've got that outrigger and that outrigger to keep yourself upright. So that's why I do that every time. So there's my little digression for that. Okay, so let's use that knowledge by doing another balance pose. So this time we're going to use a strap, unless you are someone that you know you can easily grab your big toe and straighten your leg. If you don't have a strap and you cannot easily straighten your leg, you're just going to use your hands holding on here and working like that, maybe being here. Okay, so I'll show you with the strap first, and then if you don't have a strap, I can show you the adaptations there. So let's put the strap on your left foot. Again, I'm going to be saying left and right, so if I screw it up, I'll try to fix things. So you can either be doing this out in the middle of the room, or come close to a wall and just have the wall there for you. So one other little digression about making the balancing work for you better, as far as the benefits of the poses, is that sometimes people will, I think you can see me over here. Yeah, sometimes if people are balancing and they want to use a wall to help them, they will, so I'm going to stand on my right foot, they will kind of lean into what's helping them to balance. And that's fine. It's going to still make it so that you can stay upright and you're still building the strength in your standing leg by staying in the pose longer by using a wall. But you're not really training the nervous system so much to learn how to stay balanced without the support. So if that is your goal, then what you want to do using the wall is stand up tall and just like have a fingertip or your fingertips on the wall. And you just use the wall whenever you need to. So you're standing up tall and your hand is there as a little support. And when you start to tip, you can lean into it. But then you push back and try to find the support with just a light touch on the wall. And that way the wall is there to help you stay longer in the pose, building the leg strength. But it's also helping you build up the pathways between your brain and the muscles to tell you how to stay upright. So another digression there. So if you're going to go to the wall or something, just have a light touch on the wall as you work here. So let's lift up your toes and spread them out on your right foot. And then you're going to stare at something up above. Actually, I'm just going to show you quickly what we're going to do so that you don't have to be looking at me while you're doing this. We're going to lift your knee up, either holding onto the strap or holding under your leg. And then when you're exhaling one of these times, you'll straighten your leg out. I'll do it at a little bit of an angle here. Straightening your leg out in front. So your left hand will be on the strap, left foot in the strap. If you're not using a strap, you're here, just staying like that, or maybe challenging your quad muscles to straighten up. From there, then you're going to take your leg out to the left. You might be down here, you might be way up here, you might be holding on, or you might be holding onto your thigh. Then the tricky part is you're going to come back. Many of you might already have the other foot on the floor, which is totally fine. You can just keep trying. It's not going to be this long when we're actually doing it. And then the other one is the strap is still on your left foot, but the loop is still on your left foot. The strap goes into your right hand. And you're going to extend your leg out long again, or you're holding on to your foot or your outer thigh now. And you can stay just like this, or you start to twist. So if your left leg is reaching back, your left leg is reaching forward, your left shoulder is reaching back. This is a time when it's nice to be at the wall. So I would be facing the wall, fingers touching lightly at the wall. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Maybe a bunch of you have already done it. So maybe we will start with putting the strap on your right foot for a reel, and then we'll do both sides if people were just watching. I'm sorry if this is confusing. Okay, so lifting up the toes on your left foot, spreading them out as much as you can, staring at something, not me now, because you know where we're going with this, and I'm going to talk you through it, and then shift your weight over. So have nice, tall posture. What a lot of people do when they start to lift their leg is they say, ooh, I want my leg to be higher, and they tip back, but you're making everything harder for yourself. So just keep your leg wherever it's going to go, wherever your hamstrings will let it, okay? So you're going to bend the right knee and holding on with the right hand onto your strap, and when you're breathing out, straighten your leg wherever your hamstring will let it, but maintaining the tall posture. Again, if you're at the wall, you might be just lightly touching the wall, breathing there. And then you can let your leg go out to the side. I'll show you this way now. Out to the side. Fine if you fall. Good if you fall. Gives your brain a lot of opportunities to send all those messages. So if you're not using the strap, you can have your hand under your leg. Your leg can be bent or straight, or maybe again you're holding on. And then you're going to bring your leg back to center. Switch hands. If you're at the wall, then you can come out, and if the wall would be over here before, you're going to turn around. So now you're extending your leg out, and the right leg is extended out, right shoulder goes back, and you're facing the wall. You can put your hand there to keep yourself steady. So straightening both legs as much as you can, breathing. As I said the other day, the beautiful thing about balance poses is that you cannot think about something else while you're working here. So, and whenever you're ready, coming out of the pose, taking the strap off your foot, and we're going to do it on the other side. So those of you who did it along with me while you were, when I was demonstrating it, you can either go back to this side and do it again, or you can just take a break in child's pose or take a break doing whatever feels good. Okay, so moving the weight onto your prepared right foot, strap is on your left foot, staring at something, shift your weight over, and bending your the left leg, holding out with your left hand, breathing in, and extending your leg long at whatever height is going to keep you nice and tall. So if your hamstring is a little more flexible, you can take your leg higher, If they're not so open today, you'll be a little lower, which is totally fine. And whenever you like, let your leg come out to the side. So different people have different hip bones and situation with the leg coming in. So coming out to the side, you might actually be able to come a little higher or not so high. So just notice what's going on there. And now we're going to switch. Again, if you're at the wall would have been at your right side. Now you're going to pivot. So now it's at the same side of your leg extending out. Switch hands on the strap. So now it's the right hand on the strap. Left leg extending long, and you're twisting. Maybe touching the wall with like fingertips, maybe leaning into it when you need to if you're feeling tippy, but not too much if you want to be able to eventually do this out in the middle of the room. So breathing, noticing, and then coming out if you haven't already tipped over. We are done with that balancing pose. So again, I want you to just notice how you feel. Were you thinking about any other things except right what we were just doing just now? Did you notice how even though you're just standing still, your body can be working pretty hard? So even if you're stuck in your house and you can't get out and go for a run or go to your gym, you, just by giving yourself a little challenge like that, can get your heart rate going, you're strengthening your muscles, and like I said before, working on that idea of balance. So balancing not only, like I said, literally balancing on one foot, but also the idea of balancing how much effort you put into something and how much passive sort of acceptance you are putting into the pose. So not pushing, not leaning back to get your leg higher, but being satisfied with where you are. So that's the kind of balance that yoga can offer in addition to standing on one foot. Okay, let's be on 2 feet again and come to the front of your mat, which will be probably a rectangular mat, not like the circular one like me. So you're going to be at the front of your mat with the short end facing you. Take a nice full breath in and then pulling down your center. Your center might feel different now after all that balancing, being uncentered for a while, and then folding down fingertips to the floor. So let's scooch the left foot all the way to the back and let your left knee come down. This time we will be here for a little bit, so take some extra cushioning if your knee is not totally comfortable back there. So let your hips sink low, and then fingertips high, breathing. And we'll take a twist. So you're going to go toward the front knee, left elbow coming across on the outside of your front leg, being here. You can stay with your knee down or try a little tiny balance challenge, tucking your back toes and lifting your knee off the floor. If you feel really tippy here, try bringing your knee down and walking your front foot over toward the pinky toe side of your foot. And if you lift your back leg, it might be a little more comfortable. So breathing there. And if you took your knee up, let it come back down again. We'll join those who never took the knee up. Undoing the twist, looking up, and then you're going to come down and have both hands on the inside of your front leg. So for a lot of people, being right here is an intense stretch. For some people, you're not feeling very much at all. So somewhere between here and forearms on the floor is where you should be spending the next few breaths in this lizard pose. So you can, if you have blocks, you can put your forearms on a block at whatever height is good for you. Or if you don't have a block, you can just bend your arms until you get to a place where it feels like the perfect stretch for your inner groin areas where a lot of people feel it. So a couple breaths here. And then whenever you are ready to come up, do it when you're breathing in. So take a breath in. And then put your weight into your hands and bring the right foot around behind. Undo the cushioning. And we're going to take our first child's pose of the morning. So let's do it with the knees wide. Gives a little extra stretch in here because we're going to do the lizard pose on the other side in a minute. And then extending your torso long. Let your forehead rest on something. If it's not comfortable on the floor, grab something that you can put it on so that your neck can relax. And the beautiful benefit of the wide knee child's pose is that your belly has space and your back and your sides have space, and your arms are forward, so there's even more space in your rib cage to fill up with air. But you're relaxed down with gravity, and you can just let the air come in, slide out. So as I said the other day, if this child's pose is feeling awesome and you want to just stay here for a lot longer, you can do that. By the same token, if any of these poses are feeling really great and you want to stay a little longer than I do today, then you can do that. And if you're doing this later, you could even pause the video and just stay for as long as you want, and when you're ready to come up, just continue. So I'm going to come up now and bring my knees underneath me again, spread out my fingers, press into all my knuckles, and come up to downward dog. Big breath in and out. And then I'm going to bring the left foot up to the front, balancing things out, and take the cushioning under my right knee, sink my hips low, and rise up for a little bit of a back bend here. Maybe we'll walk the toes over to the left side before we go into the twist, so then you're prepared for that. And then twisting around, right elbow on the outside of your left knee, gazing behind you, staying with your knee low or tucking your back toes and coming up, finding a little bit of a balance challenge here perhaps. Breathing in, and then letting your knee come back to the floor if you lifted it. Coming up again, and then hands to the inside of your leg. So now you're going to see this pose from the other side. Go to where you need to go, paying attention to the idea that even though we're talking about balance today, our bodies are really not very balanced in so many ways. So you're going to find in a pose like this that maybe on one side you were able to get your forearms to the floor, but on this side, that's not happening. So don't push it. There's that balance of effort and surrender again, acknowledging what's going on, not pushing too hard. So find where you should be. And I didn't say this on the other side, but you can also take your back knee high in this variation and move around a little bit. So when you're done feeling the effects of this pose and what it can do for you, where your tight spots are, then you can decide which inhale you're going to use to come back up onto your hands, and then press weight into your hands so you can take the weight out of your foot, slide around. I'm going to suggest another wide knee child's pose, but if you'd like to do another variation, of course you can do that, whatever feels good. So reaching your arms forward, forehead and forearms resting on the mat, noticing how the air can inflate your lungs in all directions in this position. There you go. So one of the biggest drivers of breath, there's of course all the muscles around your rib cage. Your rib cage is all these bones, and in between each of the bones are these muscles, the intercostal muscles. And when they are contracting and expanding, that opens up your ribs for the air to come into your lungs. The other big muscle that works in here is called the diaphragm. You can be staying in your child's pose. Diaphragm is a big, strong muscle that divides your lungs from all of your abdominal stuff. And I don't mean the abs like the muscles on top, but I mean the organs, the intestines, and the stomach, and all those things. So there's a big giant muscle inside there that when you're breathing in, it, without you having to think about it at all, pulls down and makes the space bigger for the air to come in. And when you're exhaling, it pulls up and squishes the air out. So you can practice kind of having control over that muscle and thinking about pulling down and breathing in more. And it's a nice place to play with that in this child's pose. So your diaphragm would be going down into your belly as you're breathing in, and back up into your lung area as you're breathing out. So a couple more breaths here, moving around any way you feel comfortable. It's going to make the pose a little more nourishing for you. And then again, pick up inhale, come up onto your hands and knees, move your knees underneath your hips again, spread out your fingers, tuck your toes, and on your next exhale, become a dog again. So lengthening your sit bones back from your hands and your heels down from your sit bones. So this is another nice place to practice big breaths in and out. So we'll meet now with the right foot out in front. If you want to take your right leg high before you do that, you can do that. Bringing it forward. Great. And then you're going to hop the left toes out to the left side of your mat and come up. So again, this is a little bit of a balance pose here. And we're in crescent lunge. Breathe in here. And if you do have a block, we're going to go to half moon pose next, which is another like two-pointed balance pose. If you have a block, you're going to place it by your pinky toe side of the front foot, and then just extend your arm out straight. And the block will be hopefully in the right place for you to be doing half moon. So sliding it out like that. So now let your back heel come down, and we're going to do warrior two. So warrior two, you're here, front knee pointing straight ahead, and your shoulders are turned aside. Your hips are turned to the side. What we're going to do is with the half moon, you want to, if you already know half moon, you want to just go right into it, feel free. So what we're going to do here is try to keep all this stuff turned to the side as you cartwheel up into the half moon. So I'm going to show it in a couple different directions. So you're here, see how my shoulder is not visible to you right now? And try to keep it that way as I tip up and over. So then I land with my left shoulder stacked over my right shoulder. The other way that people often do it is they come out of the pose, come forward, and then once you're here, you have to do all this work of stacking everything up and figuring it all out again. That's fine, it's just a little harder. So if you can, you're coming from here, cartwheeling straight up. I'll show it from this angle now. So I've slid the block out. I'm here, I'm turned to the side, cartwheeling forward. And if you're finding that when you are in your pose, you're bending your elbow, you can move the block out of the way or move it to a lower setting. So I have no idea how long people have been holding this while I've been yammering. But if you're still in it and you want to play around with your gaze, you can take your gaze to the side. Whoa, I tend to tip over when I do that. And certainly a big challenge for balance is to look up at my upper hand. So you can play around with that. And if it tips you over, that's just fine. That just means that you're challenging yourself and you're going to your edge. So again, you're going to find that balance between, I'm going to come out of this back to warrior two, finding the balance between, you know, feeling comfortable and feeling like, oh, I'm so good at this, I didn't fall, and trying, you know, really going to your edge and you fall over, and maybe, you know, if you were in a class with other people, especially at school, you'd want to stay on that edge of like, I didn't fall over, I'm so good at this. But take advantage of the fact that you're here in your home, and, you know, hopefully no one's going to judge you. So try the thing that might tip you over. Give it a go. Okay, so now we're going to do that on the other side, but we'll go through a vinyasa first. So coming hands to the floor on either side of the front foot, sliding the front foot to the back to meet the back foot. Filling up with air here, being mindful of your diaphragm muscle and the muscles between your ribs as you breathe in, and coming forward, lowering to the floor or to the low push-up, rising to some way that opens your front and strengthens your back, and then meeting again in downward dog. Great. So I'm actually just going to stay at this angle so that you can see the half moon from the other side, if that's helpful at all. So left foot lifting, or just coming forward directly, or your right knee coming down. We're going to come up into the crescent lunge first. Take your block and place it on the left side of your left foot, on the pinky toe side. Slide it out. Good. So coming up, crescent lunge for a moment, finding the balance on 2 feet, and then letting your back heel ground down, opening to warrior two. So again, you've done the work of stacking to the side, kind of cartwheel yourself up, looking toward your block, and landing with your hand on the block at whatever height works, or touching the floor. If you're really working on balance, some people like to practice this pose with their fingers off the floor, touching their leg. I like to do it like I was suggesting at the wall, where my hands are just there touching for when I need it. So you're breathing here, you're staying with your gaze to the floor if you're feeling pretty stable in that configuration, then you dare yourself to look to the side. See, now I'm using my fingers. And then if you're comfortable there, you'll try looking up. And to come back to transition to the warrior two, though, definitely want to look down, because that's way too tippy if you're looking up. Bend your leg, coming back to warrior two, and breathing there. Great. Hands to the floor again. Sliding your foot back. Breathing in. Again, noticing how just staying still, but challenging your body can elevate your heart rate and make you breathe a little harder. So if you're breathing a little too hard and you want to take a break, you can drop onto your knees and hips to heels in child's pose right away. We're going to go there in a second. And if you'd like to take the opportunity to build some upper body strength again here, you can do that. Holding core strength, stillness here, or push-ups. Inhaling and exhaling on your toes or on your knees. And then when you're done, to the floor or to the little push-up, one of the front body openers, downward dog, and then you join the wise people who elected to go right to child's pose. So breathing here, emptying out. Feeling your low back getting more and more spacious. Pretend like your sit bones have something heavy attached to them and they're pulling down. When people are in my class, this is the time where I come over and I very gently place my hands on their low back and give a little pressure there. So if you have a partner in your room today with whom you can get 6 feet, within 6 feet, that person could come and do the same for you, maybe even gently sit on your low back. It's a really nice feeling. Breathing. And emptying out. Great. So now let's come up onto the hands and knees and grab your strap again. So we're going to do a little bit of work with opening up your quad muscles and the front, and then we're going to play around with a really fun standing balance pose, dancer pose. But we're going to do it on the floor first. So you're going to lie here. Some people who feel a little constrained in their back flexibility or they have any kind of back issues, you're not going to do the full version of this. You'll just stay with a locust pose, either lifting your legs and your upper body, keeping your hands on the floor. Hands can reach out in front, out to the side, back, or clasping. So you can do any one of these kind of things if you don't want to do the full bow kind of thing. Okay, so you're going to take the strap and place it on your left foot with the buckle facing you. So the buckle will be on the bottom of your foot. And then you take the strap and you put it over your shoulder like this. Okay, and you can stay up on your right forearm. If that's too much, because that's going to give you a little extra stretch on your quadricep muscle, you can just rest down with your forehead on your head. On your hand. So some of you will have your foot way back here if the quad is feeling tight this morning, or if it's always tight. And others will be with your heel quite close to your body. So if your head is down low, you're going to feel a certain stretch. The 3 quad muscles, 3 of the 4. And if you are wanting to get into the top quad muscle, which attaches to your pelvis, then you come up and you'll notice a little extra stretch happening. Great. So a couple of breaths here. I always like to hold the quad stretch a little bit longer because I know it's pretty intense for people to get into. So might as well get the benefit of it, but come out whenever you like if it's too intense for you. And again, you might be working here and feeling the intensity. Great. So now we're going to mimic the dancer's pose that we're going to do later. And so if this is too awkward for you or whatever, you can just go back to that locust pose. So reaching both hands up and walking your hands down the strap as much as you can, and then lifting up, crown of your head up toward the ceiling and foot up toward the ceiling. So Notice how my belly is on the floor and my chest and my thigh are lifted. It might be that your thigh is lower down. You might be way up higher than me, especially if you're a young person with very flexible spine. So this is the shape we want to create later on when we're in dancer's pose, except your right leg will be going down toward the floor supporting you. So you're lifting up away from the floor, and I'll mention it later. You'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's release this. Take the foot or the strap off your foot. And now we're all going to just let our foreheads rest on our hands. Again, catching up with your breath, wiggling around. Maybe you want to bend your knees so your feet are pointing up to the ceiling and you just let your feet slide back and forth. In there. So assess if that was an appropriate thing for your back to do, in which case you'll join me on the other side. If you're feeling any tweakiness, then you'll go back to working with the locust pose. So now the strap is going to go on the right foot, the buckle on the bottom, and we'll do just the quad stretch first. So you can stay up high if you want a little more quad stretch, lay down low if the upper version is too intense for you. And just bring your heel in to wherever it's going to go so you feel a stretch in the front of your thigh, the right thigh down on the ground. So opening that up, breathing, maybe coming higher to give yourself a little bit more. Or maybe you're down here and you're just bearing it. If that's the case, back off a little bit, relax your jaw, go to your breath. Again, finding that balance between really trying and where you're getting benefits. So find just the right spot for you. And then you're gonna come out of it and bring the strap up and over your head, holding on with both hands and walking your hands down the strap on this side. So walking toward your foot and then lifting your thigh off the mat if you can, lifting your chest off the mat, top of your head and the sole of your foot going toward the ceiling equally. So now you can see my left leg. Imagine that it's instead pointing down toward the floor and I'm standing up. That's where we're going with this. And I just want you to have this feeling of lifting up tall. So let's release that. You'll feel that your back muscles worked really hard and opened up your front muscles. Now let's take a little break here again. Whatever hand you normally put down, switch it up. Just feel, that's another version of balancing. So again, my regular students have heard me say many times that whenever I notice that I do something habitually with one hand or the other, or one hand on top, or one foot in front, or whatever, I try to consciously switch it up. And it's kind of cool because over time, it starts to feel less weird. And so you know that your brain is actually changing something about how it talks to your body. So the pathway from your brain to those muscles that create those forms and those shapes is actually changing because it feels different. And that's kind of cool to see. So it's good for your brain to try balancing yourself out whenever you can. Something as simple as carrying your bag on the other hand or crossing your other leg in front more often or something like that. Okay, so let's stretch out the spine for a moment before we bend it again in a downward dog. Bend your knees in, lengthen your spine, fill up with air, and let it all go. Now walk your feet up to the front. And this is a pose, so I actually have, hold on a second, I have a little statue, which I'm going to show you because I cannot do this pose fully, but this is what the full version of this pose looks like. Now this person is not a real person. I think the arms are too long, but some people can actually do this pose. I do it with a strap between my hands and my feet. The distance between your hands and your feet might be much longer than mine or much shorter than mine, or maybe you can actually hold onto your foot, but this is where we're going. Okay, so if you are working with a young person or just with another person at all, you can spot each other. Again, assuming that you're in a house with people that you are allowed to be within 6 feet of. So just want to make that clear. You can spot each other because when your hands are up in the strap, you can't really do the wall thing very easily. So bear that in mind. So you're gonna, again, put the strap, let's start with the left foot, with the buckle on the bottom. And This is a really challenging balance pose. So just do the best you can. And again, balancing the effort and the surrender. I'm gonna move my mat out of the way so that I can be on the flat floor and you can see me. So I'm gonna lift up my toes and spread them out, especially important in these trickier poses, okay? And then I'm gonna put my left foot back behind me and with my toes down like I'm wearing high heels. I'm gonna take my strap and put it on like I'm putting on a backpack and then lift my left foot. So now just pretend that the floor is here. This is exactly what we did on the floor before. Your elbows are gonna go up and you're gonna start walking your hands toward your foot. Now, of course, the big difference is that you're not on the floor, you're balancing on one foot. So we're gonna tip this over and now it should look like when I was on the floor, but the floor was here, but now I'm standing on this leg. So in other words, when you tip over, you're not tipping over and caving in through the front. The whole idea of this pose is to lift up and get the opening in the front body. So then your back foot and the crown of your head are lifting up toward the ceiling. Ah, here I go. If you need to come out, you just release the strap. And hopefully you'll save yourself first. So what I didn't do was stare at one thing. I was talking to you guys. So now I'm going to stare at something straight ahead of me. Lift my back leg high, walk my hands down the strap toward my foot, and then you tip over, but keep your chest lifted. Lifting your head and your foot at the same time, breathing in and releasing. Good. Now, if you felt too tippy doing that, and you really do want to have the benefit of the fingertips on the wall, then you can just do it close to a wall and holding onto your foot with your hand, or you can still use the strap, but just holding on with one hand, and you can work like that and have the wall here for you. Okay, so let's stand on 2 feet for a moment. Breathe in, breathe out. Again, noticing how much activity you can get working on balance poses without needing much square footage at all in your space. So good for a rainy day. And put the strap on your right foot, with the buckle on the bottom, and we're gonna do this side. So if you felt like you were too tippy on the other side, you might try doing it on this side anyway, because again, even though we're trying to work on balance, a lot of times people are much more stable on one foot than the other. Some sort of muscle weakness or just a habit or something like that. So you can try it, or you know yourself and you say, you know what, I'm just gonna go to this version where I can be touching the wall that way. Okay, so spread out and prepare your toes on your left foot, bringing the strap up and over like a backpack, holding on with your elbows high and walking your hands all down the strap toward your foot. You're gonna stare at something out in front of you, start to lift your knee as high as it'll go, and when it won't go any higher, then you start to tip over, but keep your chest and your gaze lifting high, reaching your foot toward the ceiling, your head toward the ceiling, breathing. Whenever you're ready, or maybe before you're ready, you come out of it. Great. All right. Let's take the strap and put it to the side. Again, standing, balancing on 2 feet, noticing how open your front feels, hopefully, how strong your back feels. So I'm going to undo my mat so we can come onto it. And we're going to have a seat on the mat. Excuse me. So you can stay in a little ball like this, and pardon me. You can either just lie down on your back, or something that I think is fun, and hopefully some of the young people or young at heart will join me in this, to roll back and forth. It's really fun. Feels good on the back too, especially after working it so much. It's like a little massage. So you can stay in your little ball and just kind of roll back and forth like this. Or if your neck feels fine and you're feeling a little flexible in your hips, you can go all the way over into a cloud pose and then coming forward, cross your legs and fold forward. Note which leg is in front. And then go back again, put the other leg in front. Breathing in as you go back. Exhaling maybe forcefully. If If you're just lying on your back, maybe you're really enjoying that after all the work. But you can still be with your legs or your knees curled into a little ball, stretching out your back. So if this is fun for you, just is a great thing to do, and you can do it for a really long time, whenever you want. Good for you. There's a style of Kundalini yoga where they say that you're only you're as young as your spine, and they will do that rolling back and forth thing for like 11 minutes or 13 minutes or whatever. So again, notice how it feels, all that nice massage. And then if you're already on your back, you stay there. If you're up, you're gonna just lie down on your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Take a breath. Let it go. Great. And just like yesterday, we'll just do a little spinal twist. One side. And then the other. Back to center. And you're going to set yourself up for the final relaxation. So if you want to just be lying down, you don't want to have to get up, you don't have any of the things for putting underneath you, then you'll just stretch your legs out, put your arms out a little bit from your hips and let your palms face up. So having your palms face up just allows a little more breadth across your chest. You can even try it if you turn your palms down. You'll notice that your shoulder tips kind of come in a little bit. And if you put your palms facing up, you can allow them to drop toward the floor. So you get extra stretch, a little extra space for your breath coming in and out. So here's Exhibit A for Shavasana. If you have something to put under your legs and something to put over your eyes and your body, you'll do that now. If you were listening to some fun, funky music, you might switch it up to something a little calmer or just turn it off altogether. So placing your legs on something if you have something, covering yourself up with something if you have something, and lying back. And then finally, something for over your eyes to keep the light out, or just turning the lights off or somehow making it a little darker. And you're settling in, whether you're just lying on the floor uncovered or you're propped up on something and covered. Just find a sense of release here. So for a moment, while we're transitioning from the active to the calm, both in body and in mind, you can be visualizing yourself standing on that one foot, balancing and trying to do the bow pose. Excuse me. It's a good thing no one's within 6 feet of me, right? So contrast that relationship with gravity, standing on one foot and reaching up and trying to do all these things, not exactly over your center of gravity. They're really challenging. And now you're lying down on the floor with as many points of contact as possible. And gravity is your friend. So I like to imagine that I'm a camera way up above the earth, maybe in a satellite, looking back at the earth. And I see myself in a tiny little spot on this giant sphere, roaming around in space. And there's this thing that we call gravity that's holding me onto that planet. It's a very, very powerful force, and it doesn't do any good to try to fight it. What goes up will come down. So you might as well surrender to that. See if you can actually sense gravity pulling you down toward the center of the earth. And you succumb. The other benefit of zooming way out into space and looking back is to know that we are a small little thing, and we're all on this planet together. And that even though it seems like right now things are a little crazy, in the grand scheme of things, we're all going to be okay. So we're going to lie here in the quiet for a little bit. If that sends your brain into overdrive, maybe go back out into that satellite and look back. Give yourself something else to have happen in your head. Be grateful that when you're lying on your back like this, you don't have to be balancing physically. Just find a balance in your thoughts. So if you are in a place that is wonderful and perfect for you and you have the time to stay there, I would highly recommend just staying exactly as you are for as long as you are able. If for some reason you have to get up now, just start to move your body in some way that feels good. Taking a little more air each inhale to support that movement. Stretch yourself out long, fill that up. And then as you empty your breath, you can curl yourself up into a smaller shape and roll to your side. Come up to sitting. And join me in just a few moments of a mini meditation. So bring yourself back to the very beginning of class when we were sitting together and doing the alternate nostril breathing. Remembering that that can be a quick and easy way to bring yourself into balance. Hopefully, after all the actual balancing that we did, you feel an even greater sense of equanimity here. So remember, whenever you need to get out of your head, you can just stand on one foot. And try to work with the idea today of balancing effort and surrender, balancing anxiety and calm. Thank you for being with me today. Namaste. Once again, I'm going to leave the live stream open for maybe 5 minutes. So if people want to leave any comments, again, I would love specific feedback about what you thought was helpful, what maybe I lost you on, what you might like to see in upcoming sessions. I'm planning on doing tomorrow, excuse me, a restorative session. So if you're going to be joining tomorrow, if you could gather as many prop-like things as you can, you know, any kind of bean bags or big pillows or a bunch of blankets, or certainly an eye pillow or something to cover your eyes is good. That would be helpful. And then on Friday, I was thinking about doing partner poses. The whole class would not be partner poses, but part of it would be. Then my husband said, should you be doing partner poses with this whole 6-foot separation thing? So if you could also weigh in on that, that wouldn't be till Friday, so you have a couple of days to talk to people about that. Let me know if you think doing partner poses would be fun. The reason I thought of it is when I was teaching at the middle school, every week when I asked, what do you guys want to do today? They always said, can we do partner poses? Can we do partner poses? So I know that they have a lot of fun with that, but we have to, you know, do what's right. So thank you again for being here today. I will leave the live stream open for a little bit. Maybe I'll take it over to the view again. Beautiful sunny day. I think you can see out the window. Yeah. I guess the only bad thing about this is I can't see the screen to see what comments you're making. So maybe I'll come back this way a little bit. Out of the sun. So one person said if there's a way to modify the partner poses for one on Friday, that would be great. There definitely is. You can just do it solo for the most part anyway. Okay, so I guess I'll leave this up for a couple more minutes. And someone just commented when I was about to close it. I'm noticing a lot of Irish names on here. There's another Erin. So someone is, if you're looking at the comments, someone just said that maybe people could introduce each other starting at about 9:10. So if people want to tune in a little bit earlier, then maybe you can sort of check in. So I will be closing this live stream in just a minute. And if you have any further comments, you can comment on the actual stored version underneath. Or you can go on to the What's Up Wellesley or my Facebook page, Personal Day Yoga, and make any comments there. But I really would love to hear what's working and what's not. So thank you very much. Remember to stay balanced and hopefully see you tomorrow.